This is just a bolt-on video to my last one because I don't think I explained things as clearly as I would have liked to. Um, I'm saying that Mclaren disadvantaged Oscar Piastri through the manner in which they ran Oscar's strategy by comparison to the strategy they ran for Lando. And that has been met with some opposition, which I understand because people will view it as if it was just the way things unfolded for each driver and the way that the race unfolded for each driver, they were the strategy calls made. But what you actually need to focus on is that what will be known to the team strategist is the time lost through pitting. Now, one pit stop is mandatory, we know that, and relative to the cars around you, when you pit and change tyres, you lose about 20 seconds. Now, it's a good round figure to use, 20 seconds. So that is what happens. You lose 20 seconds by going into the pits, changing them tyres, coming back on track. Those cars that were previously around you are 20 seconds up the road now. Obviously, when they pit, that 20 seconds it all gets evened out again, doesn't it? So you find yourself back in them same fights again. All right. If you now go for a stop strategy, you now know that you're going to lose a further 20 seconds, which means when you are opting for a two-stop strategy, you've got to be confident that over the duration of the race, by using up the tyres more, by driving harder on those tyres, because you're not having to eke out their life. You know, you're not going to have to, for example, if it's a 70 lap race and you start on mediums, your strategy might be, well, the medium starting on a heavy fuel load will last 30 laps if we drive sensibly, and then the hard tyre will last the remaining 40 laps as the fuel load is decreasing, again if we drive sensibly. However, if you say, well, we'll do a three-stop strategy and we'll do 20 laps on medium followed by 20 laps on medium followed by 30 laps on hard, the 20 lap stint, the 20 lap stint, and the 30 lap stint all need to be driven harder, okay, where you're going to use up them tyres a lot quicker, okay, so that you've gained at least them 20 seconds that the additional pit stop is going to cost you, right? And what you need to do as a driver is be aware of that so that you drive accordingly. Now, this is something that should be discussed before the race. This isn't something that should be sprung upon a driver, because if, for example, before a race, the strategy call that you're intending to go on is, okay, what we're going to do is 30 laps on your mediums followed by 40 laps on hards. That would be the strategy. So if you're driving at the 30 lap pace for your mediums, and then they go, actually, no, we're gonna pit you after 18 laps and change tyres. Well, them 18 laps that you've driven, you've not driven them to the maximum speed because you've tried to keep 12 more laps of tyre wear in those tyres rather than use all that tyre wear up within those 18 laps. Right, so you have backed your pace off to make those tyres last. And then if you're actually pitted, well, you've thrown that away, haven't you? You've now been slung into a position where you've now had to encounter a situation now where you're now going to incur an additional 20 seconds added to your race time by going on to a two-stopper. But for the first 18 laps, you've not been going at the optimum pace you needed to go at to make sure that over the course of the 70 laps, you gained the 20 seconds back. Which then means you've got to push harder in those other stints 2 and 3, to try and do that. But then here's the thing. If you believe that your race is against the guys around you, and let's say it's the top four, we had Leclerc, we had Piastri, we had Russell, we had Norris. If you think, if you're under the impression that they're all doing the same thing anyway, then you're not driving to think, oh, actually, I've got to gain 20 seconds on one of these guys because they'll be doing a one-stopper. You'd be thinking, you have the mindset, actually, my race is relative to these. Okay, I've not got to worry about Alonso in 5th place. Okay, because he's that far off the pace that if he does one stop, then that is not going to bring him into this battle for the top 4. If the top 4 are all on 2 stoppers, well, they're all going to incur the extra 20 seconds of the second pit stop. So again, things even themselves out in that situation, and therefore you focus on the notion of undercut, or just trying to focus on making sure that you have the tyres ready to make the attack on the guy in front at the relevant point in the race, which is what Oscar would have most likely been thinking he needed to do. If, when you then get told mid-race, lap 35, halfway through the race in that region, oh, actually, your teammate, one of those cars in the top 4, they're only going to do a one-stopper. They're not going to lose the 20 seconds that you're going to lose. So if you want to win this race, you've now got to catch up that 20-second deficit. And not only that, you've got to do it in time to then give yourself 4 or 5 laps at trying to be able to attack them to make the overtake on them. And they didn't really give him that information, did they? That's the situation that Mclaren placed him in. That's what it appears from the outside. Okay, and that's what I'm trying to get at, is that a strategist will know that one stopper, 20 seconds, but that applies to everybody, so no skew. If you do a 2-stopper, you know that you've got 20 seconds that's added to your race time, over and above those that do a 1-stopper. So you've got to work your strategy out, and your driver needs to be aware that over the course of that race, they've got to drive their car at a pace which is going to be 20 seconds faster than the 1-stoppers. That 20 seconds, you even that out over the 3 stints. Means you drive that first set of tyres hard enough to gain some of that time. You drive the second set of tyres hard enough, as hard as you can, so that you leave no rubber on them come tyre change time. Okay, you don't drive that stint in a manner where, oh, you could do 30 laps on them if needed. Why would you do that? If you're driving that way, then why? If you let's say, and again, let's just pick out a random lap time. Let's say that your car is capable of doing a 1 minute 20, but you're opting to conserve a bit of tyre, so you're doing 122s. Okay, if you drive at 122s, you can make those tyres last for 30 laps. If you try to do 121s, those tyres are going to wear out in 20 laps. If you're told at the start of the race, we're going to pit you after 20 laps, you'd lap at 121s if you could. You wouldn't want to be lapping at 122s. You'd make that as much time on that set of tyres that you're going to get rid of as you could, if you knew that one of your rivals was not going to lose that 20 seconds. Now, you don't know what your rivals are going to do. Okay? You drive in a way to surely put your rivals under pressure and wear their tyres out by you putting them under pressure. But it's when it's your own team that runs a different strategy on you. You're the lead car of that team, and they don't inform you what your teammate is actually doing, and the fact that you then need to gain that 20 seconds on your own teammate, and they don't inform you of that in sufficient time so that you're pushing for the appropriate number of laps on each set of tyres so that you're given the best chance of regaining that 20 seconds that you're going to lose by pitting for the second time. And that, I hope, has clarified the situation. I did do a video recording all of the Mclaren radio messages to their drivers, but that video alone was over 20 minutes without my analysis. So it's difficult without really getting into this and trying to break everything down. And what happens is when you make videos in the aftermath of a Grand Prix, then the interest just drops off. On the day itself and the following day, you might get 3,000 or 4,000 views of a video. As you can see with this one, we're down to about 600 views, I'm guessing, something like that. Yeah, 699 views, 700 views. And maybe this video might get the same, if it's lucky. All right? It might get a few more if I keep it short. So I'm going to keep it short there. Just bear that in mind. That's what strategists for any Formula One team will. You'll have to look at it that way. If you're going to do a two-stopper as opposed to just a one-stopper, it's 20 seconds added to your race time. How are you getting that 20 seconds back on those that are doing a one-stopper? Okay, well, you drive your tyres accordingly. Is it possible on this track? Does the lap times that we know we can generate on the fresher tyres, does that make us be able to gain that amount? Can we then perform the overtake? Because after the second stop, we're going to come out behind that car that's on the one stopper. Can we then catch them? And will we have enough in the tyres to pass them? Is the track suitable for overtaking? These are all part of your strategic decisions when you're deciding that strategy, whether it's a one or two stop strategy. And that's what I'm saying is what they've done to what they did to Oscar relative to Lando was stitching Oscar up. It really was. And you can claim, well, it just worked out that way. It just worked out that way. But the McLaren team have the ability to make the decisions for the fairness between them drivers. And what you've done there is, well, you've opted there to the way it's panned out, the way that they presented us to it, as if they'd not pre-planned this. Now, you can make your own mind up as to whether you think they have or not, because I don't need to convince you. You will make your own mind up. But what notice did they give to Oscar that he was going to be doing that? Was Oscar aware of how much he needed to push on each stint in order to then overcome his teammate that was only going to do the 2 stints rather than the 3 stints? And it doesn't appear to me that they gave him that level of information to give him the chance of regaining the lead of that race. And that's why I think they did him dirty. Anyway, like I said, I hope that's added a bit more clarity to the original video, because I don't think it fully explained that dynamic of it. There is more to this, but without going into each of these messages between the team and the driver, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors in these messaging, and a lot of it is purely to be played to the global audience. McLaren is very clearly saying things over the radio designed for F1 TV to broadcast to us, to make us think that something is going to happen, and then it just is totally contradictory. Totally contradictory. Anyway, that'll do. Thank you for your time.